and today I will walk you through how to write a research paper or how to write a manuscript.
Namaste. Welcome to
Bit
Science. Unlock the secrets of life
and technology
with our comprehensive biology.
and computer science education.
Writing a manuscript is always a tedious process, and it's obviously sometimes becomes really tough if you do not understand how to take it further. So, first of all, the utmost important thing in writing a research paper is to choose a research topic. So, the research topic will based on anything that you're curious about. For example, you're curious about to know about the mental health of staff that is working under your company, or you're curious about to understand, how Earth rotates. All these things, kind of curiosity. So, a curiosity actually generates a research topic. So, yeah, so to understand or to choose a research topic or to make a title, it should be very, very unique. It should have some kind of novelty. Now, how do we know that it has got novelty or not? So, to order to understand that, we need to find a research gap. Now, whenever we say research gap is something which is not explored or yet to be explored. So there are a lot of researches going on in around the world, and yet we want to write research publications, right? So generally what happens whenever we go for any topic or research articles, this journals, for example, there are different kind of journals. There are like Scopus Indus journals and Web of Sciences. These are the very high standard journals that we generally target to put our papers into that. So they always look for a novelty. Now the next thing which comes is like you chose a topic and now you need to write the topic. So writing paper. Now, writing a paper starts with an abstract. So, abstract is generally a short summary of the paper that you're writing, a manuscript that you're writing. So, your short summary includes everything about a little bit of introduction, a method, a little bit of conclusion, and result. All those things are there in abstract. Now, let's come to the major part of it, like the introduction. So, introduction is the most important part because introduction carries the background and why it is important. For example, we had a COVID situation, right? So in that, if I want to talk about it, like how do I make a research topic out of it, or how do I make an introduction out of it? For example, there was a kind of research gap happening at that particular time. For example, case one, we were not able to understand what the virus was. Okay, in order to get a vaccine, we need to understand the virus. And so we did not have a genome sequence. So there were scientists who came up with a genome sequence, right? And there was another case too, where we wanted to know that number of people affected or number of people are getting the vaccines, not getting the vaccine, and we were actually segregating them. That's also a kind of statistical analysis that we do. And it is very fascinating to understand that at that point of time during COVID, there were publications done at are just published within 15 days, 30 days, all sort of things happen. So when we talk about introduction, when we talk about the background, so for example, as I take example of the COVID-19, what's the background of it? The background is there are different variants which already existed, but there are a new variant which has come. So that is kind of background that we talk about, and why it is important to understand, because we are looking for a vaccine to be developed. We want more information about it. So introduction should be very, very interesting and fascinating, because when there is a reviewer or somebody who's reading your article, or for example, let's forget about the reviewer, even the audience who are reading your article, it should be interesting. It should not happen that they start reading it and they feel that it's quite boring and they would not read your article further. So that's why introduction is very, very important, where you give a little bit of background of it, you give a little bit about the research gap that is there and how your work is novelty or how it is bringing an impact to the society, right? That's what we write in the introduction. Next one is methods. Now, methods are like how do you conduct a research. For example, if I want to do a statistical analysis, for example, I want to know number of people got vaccinated in so and so area, in a geographical area. So we need to understand how we can do some kind of sampling techniques. So that comes under like we go for random sampling or we go for non-random sampling. So that is kind of method that we required to do a statistical analysis. Now, for example, you are doing you're from a background of IT or biological or chemistry, you will have a lot of data. For example, there are a lot of instruments like electron microscope, there is UV spectrophotometer. So these are kind of methods that you actually use to get your data. In terms of IT, there might be a lot of softwares that you might be using, right? That could be paid and unpaid. So that kind of things, the methods that you used, that is going to be your methodology, right? Now the next one is the results. So results are generally just finding the data that you get after the results, or any kind of values that you get. For example, if I'm conducting a wet lab work, I will get some kind of research like micromolars or minimolars or some kind of thing. Another example I would give, for example, there was a research finding where it was done of an anti-cancer drug. So it was found that there is a drug A, which is already authenticated drug, we know, which showed anti-cancer property at 2 micromolar. However, the drug that I used have showed a better results, or significant result, 1 micromolar percentage. So this is how you interpret the results. Now the next one is the conclusion. So conclusion is in the results, and conclusion you need to understand what is some basic difference between that. So the results, you actually tell the findings that you get it. In the conclusion is like the interpretation of the results. So for example, I got 1 micromolar, but there is already a drug with 2 micromolar. How do you interpret these two things, right? It means that there is some kind of novelty in your work, that you have found similar kind of drug, right? And you can go for publication, like something interpretation that you do mostly, that is your conclusion. Now once you're done with this is a major part of the manuscript writing: introduction, methods, results, conclusion, given an extract. And once you're done with it, we go for submitting to a journal. Now how do we submit to a journal? Where do we find a journal? So there are a lot of publication house that we have, like for example, we have Elsevier, we have Taylor Francis, we have MDPI, we have Springer. These are the publication companies. Under publication companies, there are a lot of journals from every background. So generally these publications, the name I took, they have all very reputed journals like Scopus Index journals. They have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 journals. So if you don't know what are this Q1, Q2, it is ranked like 1, 2, 3, 4. As you say, the 1 is the best one, 4th is the least one. But however, if we see, getting a publication under Scopus Index journal is very, very good, right? So how do we find which is the journal best suited for us or the manuscript? So what do we need to do is we need to put the title and the abstract in the journal finder. So every publication house has a free online journal finder in that. So once you put that, you submit the button, right? And there might be they might ask you for the abbreviations as well. You can just put some important highlighted abbreviations in that, and that they will show you number of journals where the possibility of your manuscript is more to get published. So they will give you a percentage, like there is a 100% chances or 80% chances or 90% chances. Also they will be telling the acceptance rate and how long it will take and the process, everything they will tell you about it. So this is how we look for where to submit a paper, right? So once we find a journal, then we change our reference based on that. And there are softwares, for example Mendeley, that I myself have used, where you can change the reference based on the different journals requirement. Now the first thing is, then you got your research topic, you wrote the paper, you got into the journal, right? You have submitted into the journal. The next thing comes is a peer review and the revision part. Now this is a long process. Why am I saying is, for example, you have done an excellent work writing the article and everything is done. However, it might get rejected. There can be a possibility of rejection. The rejection generally happens by the peer review side, because there might be a lot of experts who will be sitting there with a lot of knowledge, and they might have not found that your publication is causing some kind of impact in the society, or there's any kind of novelty. Generally this happens to the index journal, right? Our focus is always going to be index journal, not non-index journal, because non-index journals are not given much of a weightage anywhere, right? So there will be expertise of scientists from in and around the world who will be reviewing your paper, checking the papers, starting from the grammar, all those stuffs they will be doing. And if at all, if it is good, generally what happens is they may ask you for modification. For example, there is case 1 where they will reject your paper, right? It means it's done and you can go for the next journal. Secondly, sometimes editors tell you that there is an editor also in that. So editor generally tells you that your journal is not well suited, this topic is not well suited for this particular journal, but you can look for other journals. They will give you an option within the same publication house and they will ask you to go for that. Okay. Third, what happens is maybe there are 3 reviewers and 2 reviewers liked your work, right? So the editor will also take a judgment on it. Fourth, that you have written it and then maybe there are editors or the reviewers might have told you that you need a minor change, and you do a minor change or you revisit it and do the changes that as they say, and they might put a lot of question against you that why did you think this finding is good, or how did you get this kind of value. And if everything goes well, your publication is good to go. Fifth is your publication is gone, everything, the reviews are done and it was best, and you just needed some changes, maybe some spelling mistake or grammatical error. Okay, so there are these kind of scenarios that may happen. The next thing which is there is the acceptance and publication. Now the acceptance rate, when I say, although in the journals finder, as I said, that acceptance rate may be written as 25%, 50%, and 100%, and you thought maybe the 100% I'll go for, but it might happen that your publication or the manuscript, it's not accepted. So I reviewed many publication in the index journal. I know that if there is not much impact in your manuscript, or if I find the introduction is not that great, or there is not something which is solving any problem or having solving any kind of research case, it's not causing a curiosity in the reader's mind, I would definitely reject that. Okay, so it is very, very important that we write the manuscript properly. Okay, it should be well framed. It's like a storytelling but in a scientific way. Okay, the next part which comes to publication. So all the process from writing to acceptance takes a lot of time. Specifically, I'm talking about index journal. It can take, just to get a review done, it might take 6 months as well, because I myself have published papers in Q1 journals. Q1 journals takes a lot of time. It might take 6 months, and then after 6 months they may also tell you that your manuscript is rejected. So these things we need to understand, and we need time to do all these things, because publication takes time, it takes effort, it takes collaboration, right? So these things might happen, and once if everything is fine, if it is good to go for publication, it doesn't take much of a time. Reviewing will be done. They will ask you for the proofreading. That is the last thing that they ask you, where they will ask you to check your name, affiliation. Once the proofreading is done, it might take like another 10 to 15 days to get published and to come into the ResearchGate or any other online platforms where everybody can read your journals and all that stuff. So in case you have any doubts regarding this, you can obviously connect with us. You can reach us through our Instagram, or you can reach us through the Telegram. You can also comment down below and we will definitely reach you. And this is Dr. Purvi Sarkar. Thanks for watching.